Hey there, and welcome to the Overcomers Overcoming Podcast. It is great to have you join us. This podcast series features those who have gained victory over a life encounter. With that life experience, we encourage those who are experiencing something that might seem to be insurmountable. We advance and encourage others by passing forward evaluated life experiences. We have three objectives in this podcast series. We want to encourage those who are engaged in any type of life encounter by offering to walk with you to help you gain victory over anything that might seem impossible. We want to share our experience to help you. Our second objective is to help you develop a confident resolve that there are multiple options to get past any life obstacle. It's a matter of thinking into the situation. Our third objective is to help you with critical thinking skills. If you are facing a dilemma resulting from a previous decision you wish you could reverse, we want to help you think into all of the facts and factors involved in making an informed decision. I'm Ron Cooper, founder of the Cooper Culture. I'm with my wife and business manager, Marty. Together, we are the Cooper Culture Company who is sponsoring this podcast series. Today we feature Kelly Paiz, who is going through a life transition. She's had a very fulfilling, very successful life in the financial arena. She now wants to pivot into something else. She acknowledges that what has brought her fulfillment in the past is not giving her the same fulfillment. It's a matter of her having accomplished what she thought everything she could do in her current career field. She wants to transition to something else, and she helps our listeners determine how to make that life transition. She's a story in progress. Marty, what are some takeaways our listeners can gain from Kelly?
Ron, when we first met Kelly at the conference, at that table we were talking, she just wasn't a real secure person in moving on, pivoting on to the next story in her life. But when we had the podcast with her, she was full of life, full of hope, full of encouragement, and has this I can do attitude.
Kelly is a very upbeat, vibrant person, can give a lot of us hope. Let's listen and learn together. Kelly, thank you so much for joining us. It's great to be with you. As we have learned to know you, you are going through, maybe you'd call it a career transition. You've got different thoughts about doing different things. And Kelly, I think your thought process, what you're going through, some of the things you're considering are going to be very beneficial to our listeners, because many of our listeners are going through the same type process that could be a matter of choice. They're not getting the satisfaction out of the job they used to have, or it could be possibly forced on them, job loss because of COVID, any number of things. Kelly, it's good to have you with us. It's going to have be a great conversation with you.
Well, thank you for having me, Ron and Marty. I'm very excited about the opportunity to sit and visit with you, because I think we had such a great conversation the first time that we met that just to continue it on felt like a natural thing to do. So thanks for having me. Thanks for inviting me back in to just to shoot things with you. I appreciate that very much.
No, thank you, Kelly. What are some of the things that, if you wouldn't mind sharing just a little bit with our listeners, what are some of the things that you are going through, maybe just very briefly, what is maybe the recent past, and what are some thoughts you have about possibly transitioning, pivoting, just an open thoughts type thing?
Yeah. You know, I'll say, Ron, you kind of hit a little bit in that I think some of us have been forced, I'm not in that group, but some of us have been forced to think about, what's a plan B for me? Should I have to think of a plan B? So some are being just tilted in that direction by force. And with the last 2 years, force could have happened, or just things have changed so much. Things have been on a continual pivot. So we've had to maybe reflect back and look at, do I love where I'm at? Which is kind of, I think, what's happened to me, where I'm sitting on that cusp of looking for something different. I've been in the finance world for over 30 years. So obviously I love it to some point, because I've been in it for 30 years, right? But in a lot of ways, when people are in something for decades, it's time for a change, or you just don't have the same vigor that you used to have for it. It's really not the joy, it's the job. And so I think that that's where I was at. So I had to look at the job that I still didn't despise. I mean, I still, I went to work, I enjoy it, I do all those things, but I had to really dissect the job to think, what are the pieces of the job that I like? Because clearly after 30 years, there was something there that I liked. In doing that reflection on the pieces of the job and what are the ones that still bring me joy, that's brought me to my pivot.
That's very well said, Kelly. Marty and I sometimes use the term fulfillment. What gave us fulfillment X years ago won't necessarily give us the same fulfillment. Could be that, yep, I've accomplished everything I can accomplish in what I used to do. I want to take on something new, and it's for us, and I don't know if you would feel this way, but for us, it's a matter of, okay, and Marty and I have transitioned into this podcast. We're doing some other businesses that are different from what we used to do, but we're getting a lot of fulfillment out of what we're currently doing. This is not about us, but it's about you, Kelly. And what are some of the factors that you are using? You're in the process. It's the an ongoing transition, I guess I would say, or work in progress, so to speak. What are some of the factors you are considering that bring you joy, fulfillment, whatever term you use?
Yeah, I think that when I sat down and I really looked at things, when I looked at the day-to-day job, one of the things that I really enjoyed that brought me a great deal of fulfillment was the success of my team members that I was responsible for. So when I was pouring into them and giving them the tools, and then they were having successes and they were getting excited, that got me excited. So instead of me just doing the things that I would just normally do, but pouring into them. So that kind of clicked for me, that it was like, oh, I really do love to see people grow. It was a little bit of an aha moment for me, because I think sometimes we can get stuck in everything and, for lack of a better word, just be a little bit selfish in our motives, or think that we're, kind of selfish in our motive. But when I really looked at it, was like, no, that really gets me going when somebody else is doing well. Because I like to think I'm probably not the person that needs a ton of gratification. So even if things were going well, I didn't need that. But I love to see someone else getting excited that they were doing something. So that, just looking at that piece, knowing how that made me feel, I thought that's where I need to look. I need to look that I say joking, like, I guess I liked people more than I thought I did. Like, kind of thing. So then it was like, well, then I started the journey of how do you really pour into people? How can I take that and turn it into a plan B, or the second phase of my life? Do we want to call it? So what does that look like? So that kind of got me into, well, what is this leadership thing? What is this speaking thing? What is this coaching thing? Which, are things that I have done for, over 2 decades in my management career. I've managed people. So it was just really getting a grasp on what's managing, what's leading. But yeah, I think just to kind of go back, answer your question a little bit in the short, it was just the joy. That's kind of what led me down the path I am, seeing the joy in other people in succeeding.
I like your attitude that it's about others. It's not about Kelly. It's about adding value to others. We've heard that term many times. Marty and I frequently use the term transformation, that when we have the opportunity to be a catalyst, I'll use that term, that we're just helping someone define themselves, find out who they are. When we are watching transformation in progress, that is very, very fulfilling to us. And it sounds like, while you may not use the word transformation, but just watching others grow and knowing that you're a part of that, that is one aspect of fulfillment for you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, your host sentiment there was exactly on point. It is something way more fulfilling than just about you, as a person, but to see everybody else's growth. That's really where I'm finding a lot of joy in that. So that's telling me that I'm headed down the right path. So, you have to, find the things that, are bringing joy, or that put the smile back on your face instead of like, just, yep, here I go. I'm going to get my day done. But, that little bit more of like, woo, I'm going to go do my day. We're going to, make this happen. So it makes the mundane things still more doable because you're finding the joy in helping others in there.
Some people who are in a process like you are maybe a little bit disheartened, discouraged, whatever. But I think what I'm hearing you say, you feel satisfaction that maybe while you haven't yet totally satisfied or determined what the next chapter of your life will be, you're moving in a direction that you feel totally satisfied. You're definitely getting toward what is bringing fulfillment. And what I'm alluding to is the journey and progressing toward. Is there some amount of satisfaction in that as well?
Yeah, there definitely is, because I think maybe for me, I'm going to say, speak for me, like you hit a stage of life and you think you're done learning, but yet I'm learning more in this process, which is bringing me such satisfaction. It's just this internal joy because there still is so much growth to be had, no matter where, if you're 1-year-old, 10-year-old, 20-year-old, 30-year-old, 50-year-old. I mean, there's just always this growth opportunity. So I think that the idea of growing myself and then being able to grow others, that's just what keeps I'm going to call it like the excitement spoon just stirring. That just keeps my pot going because, it's just this whole, I feel like there's so much exciting unknown out there, which I'm going to kind of pivot into a little bit of statement that I've kind of been thinking about for the last couple of weeks, because there's still, even as I go into this change, as I'm making these moves to position into what's going to be my next identity, I guess, a little bit, I think that sometimes when we start these things, we think we have to have it all figured out. And it maybe all needs to be perfect. And I have to have all the answers. And I probably had that moment, like, I'm not going to get started on this because I don't have all the pieces. When I just focused on, this is the part that I am enjoying, and this is the part that's bringing me, that's maybe filling a void that was there, and then completely got comfortable with the fact I'll learn the rest of it as I go. That's when I became even more excited about it, like just to let it go, that it doesn't have to be perfect and it doesn't all have to be known. You can just follow your joy. Just get on the yellow brick road and just start walking, and you're going to pick up things along the way.
Oh, that's great. Marty and I both have the attitude that we are permanent students. We will not graduate, so to speak, but we're always learning, and it's just great to be with people such as you, Kelly, who share this kind of thing, that we're going to learn together and grow together. And it's just good to go the journey with you. As you are describing some of what can be, do you have maybe a range of options where whatever is within the realm of possibility of whatever it is you choose to do? I'm not sure you call it full time, but at least put as much time into it as you choose.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I definitely have my timeline goals set out, and I'll phase out of what is this 30-year finance career, and I'll go into a speaking and coaching career. And I have my own timelines to that I'll, make all that happen. But I think that I have the timelines, but I think what's equally important is that you just keep moving forward. Like, I don't want to say it and not make a step tomorrow to get me towards that direction. So if I have a 2-year goal set for something, and maybe it's 2 years and 6 months, or ends up being 3 years, I'm not going to beat myself up over that if I've made steps in that direction. Can't beat myself up for if I'm doing forward motion, because that's what it's all about. You got to have the goal and you got to have the timeline. But before you have all of that, you have to have forward motion.
That is really important. A lot of us set goals, and there's some of us who, two things occur. One, I'm not going to start moving toward the goals until I feel like I have the 100% of the knowledge, 100% of the path laid out. I know exactly how I'm going to get there. And then the other thing is, sometimes some of us with a goal set, that to be somewhere by a certain time, didn't make it, and well, I'm just giving up. And so, Kelly, I pretty clearly discern you are the kind of person that, yep, set a goal. Well, didn't quite make it, but we're going to keep moving toward, and we will get there. I'll just adjust it, the timeline if necessary. It's not a big deal.
Yep. I think that giving yourself grace is part of the process, whether it be that just you're going to hit some roadblocks. I'm always like, I just got a work boot with me that I'll just bust through the roadblock if I need to, kind of a thing. But so it might be a hiccup in the road, so it's going to take me a little bit to get over there, but I'm just going to get over it. And so I'm not going to let it deter me. I don't want to have that mindset that, well, I didn't hit that, so I guess it's just not going to work. That's not a good mindset.
I like that attitude, because then it doesn't put pressure on you.
There's enough pressure when you're when you're making a change, when you're changing what you thought your whole identity was, or you have this comfort, like if, the day job, I'm comfortable in the day job. And if I'm not going to stay flexible, then the whole thing gets scarier. And, we just have to keep it light. So yeah, I think flexibility, just rolling with the punches. That's key.
Are you in a career transition? The transition, pivot, whatever term you assign to it, might be a matter of your choice, that you have achieved everything you want to achieve from whatever you had been doing in the past. It might be a matter that you're no longer getting the joy, the fulfillment from what you had been doing in the past. It could have been brought about from a job displacement from COVID, or any number of reasons, but this may be a time when you review your strengths, your passions, what brings you total fulfillment. And for those whose identity is in their job, I want to do what I can to try to persuade you not to have your identity in your job, but rather your personal I am characteristics. I am a mover, shaker. I am jubilant. I am affable, flexible, other terms such as that. When you know exactly who you are, your identity will not be shaken should you have to change jobs. I want to do what I can to encourage you to take an introspective look. I think one thing is very important, what you said, Kelly, and it may be worth taking a little bit deeper dive into it. Your identity, that you impress me as being a very confident person, but you feel like you want to move on to the next chapter. Your identity is not necessarily with the financial world. And what I mean by that is you can transition out of that knowing you've been very fulfilled. You have possibly achieved everything you wanted to in the financial world, but your identity is not mapped very specifically to that. It's what I'm hearing from what you're saying, and just tell me if I'm even assimilating anything correctly, is that you're a confident person. You know who you are, and you're going to keep progressing forward. You know what you're good at. So there's a lot of things I've included in that, Kelly, but I do know there are a lot of people who are stymied to a degree because their identity, they're not sure what they're good at. They're not sure what would be fulfilling. And therefore, I'm stuck in the mire, so to speak. But you're able to progress beyond that.
Yeah. And I think, and I love that you brought that up, even because I have grappled with that in my head many a time, that, my identity, because I feel like when someone will hear my name, they relate it back to my finance piece of it. And, and it's, so then I go into like, well, if I'm going to do this speaking, coaching, training thing, what do I have to offer? Like, why would people want to listen to me? Like having to really have to just have some good talks with yourself and to recognize it boils down, everyone has something to offer. It's just owning what you have to offer. And for me, when I peeled everything away and I looked at it, and I look at my journey in two different aspects. The first piece of it, what do I have to offer? I have 3 decades of finance experience and managing people. that's something, right? Like, I mean, so like to me, but yet when I think of that piece of my identity, and I'm going to air quote on there, that's where I was kind of getting hung up. But that's just me. And I do that every day, and I just do it without even thinking. So then really to peel it away, but what am I doing and how can I offer that to people? So it's just kind of like owning that piece of it, but then say, no, this is why I have something to offer, because I have put in the hard work and I have, paid my dues, and I've had wins and I've had losses and I've had all those things, and so just to own that piece of it. And then there's, the other piece. Sometimes I think what we have to own, and I think we talked about it a little bit the first time that I did. My brother has passed away, and he had his issues with some alcoholism, and that was a lifelong battle, for him, for me to, watch him go through those things. And it was almost a piece like that, because I had this other piece of me that, we'll just say finance. I mean, people look at me and it was, respected and, all of these things. But then I had one over here that in my mind, I wanted to just label that, like, all my family stuff was this dirty little secret kind of a thing that, oh, we just don't want to let that out there. But that again was having the hard conversations and peeling that away and saying, but that too is what I have to offer, because I'm not the only one in the world that has learned to be a champion enabler that needed to unlearn how to be a champion, enabler. So kind of just, I think when we're talking identities is that we get wrapped up into what we think our identity is, but peel away the onion, because there's so much more in an identity. And I had to own like what I have. I had to own that I had 3 decades of experience with the finance, and I had to own that I do have experience, and a lot of people struggle with someone that's addicted to something.
And I'll tell you, Kelly, the other part of identity that I think can clearly set you apart, and any listener for that matter, Kelly Paiz is a very unique person. Her personality, her association with people, the way she relates to people, yes, your background, that includes everything. There's very few people in the world, and maybe nobody, who has everything to offer that Kelly has to offer. And as you speak with a confidence, as you do, that comes across to people. But neither Marty nor I nor you will appeal to everybody, but there's someone with whom we will appeal, and we are the only person who will target that market, and the only person, or the best person, who can associate with that person. I believe, Kelly, that's just an aspect of your uniqueness, and you do have a lot to offer. And some people will say, well, I'm not sure, I'm transitioning into a new career field. What do I have to offer? Some people may ask, well, what experience do you have? I'm just starting out. I have me to offer, and that's Kelly. And so that's really what I'm saying, Kelly, that many people are uncertain just what they have to offer, but people are looking for Kelly Paiz. When people find her personality, find her genuineness, that relatableness, that's what they're looking for. And when people find you, they're going to say, she's the one. I can promise you that.
Well, that's so nice of you to say. I appreciate that. And I agree with it, that just the sentiment that you have there, that everyone should just put themselves out there, because someone's going to resonate with someone and they're not going to maybe resonate with someone else. So if ever you just, own our truths and share it with people that we come in contact with, somebody's going to pick up a nugget, and they're going to need that nugget. But they might not pick it up from the person that's maybe right there. So we have to spread. We all have to sprinkle everything all around, because somebody wants to pick up your dust, because they are going to resonate with you. I was at a meeting the other night, and we had a speaker there, and I kind of, gauge everybody in there, and you can see just from a personality standpoint, well, that person's getting it, and this person's maybe not really, connecting with what's being said, because maybe, there's, many different types of personalities, and you're gonna, find one that you connect with. So I think, I've had that thought too. I don't ever like to be like, I'm pretty great, but I'm pretty great. And so
So true.
There's a listener who right now is very captivated with what you're saying. They are going through a transition, but they're not certain that they have the ability to relate. They're not certain they're as confident as you are. If you had the ability to talk one-on-one with that person, and you're in the process of transition, but if you were working with a person who said, well, no, Kelly, I'm not sure I can be as positive as you. I'm not sure what I have to offer. I'm not exactly sure who I am. What would you say to that person to give them the confidence that you do have something very much to offer? It may be a matter of just sitting down and thinking into it and maybe even writing it out, but you have something to offer. How would you work with that person?
I think a little bit, it's probably how I had to work with myself a little bit, because I had to walk through the process, with mentors, and it just even having the conversations myself. And I think the first question to ask is, what are you so scared of? Like, what are you so scared of? What's the worst that could happen? That you put yourself out there and you didn't quite connect with that person how you thought you were going to connect? Well, there's going to be 100 other people that walk in your path, and you're going to connect with someone, because someone needs to hear what you've lived. And I think that a lot of that, it's what you've lived. I mean, and for me, that when someone could look, or I would, to someone that maybe I'd be talking to, that something that they may seem as trivial as that I'm the best organizer in the world. I can come into your house and I can tell you how to do blah, 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 and your house would be completely organized. That's your thing. Like, that's your thing. And I think just asking yourself, that's Marty. I love that. That's your shtick for whatever you want to say. Like, there's other people out there that don't have your gifts. And so don't think of your gift as small, because your gift, no matter how small it may be to you, is very big to someone else. That's your first step. Ask, what are you scared of? And usually it's just I'm scared of failing. Well, there's just different levels of failure. You're not going to combust into flames. So let's just take that one out of there. And then it's just, hone in on what your gift is, and don't think that your gift is too small, because your gift is going to be large to someone else. And I think that's kind of where I started with me, and that's where I would start with someone else.
That is great. Everybody has strengths, and some of us don't know our strengths. Some of us don't believe we have any strengths. But it is a matter, Kelly, just like you said, organization. I'm going to give you a story real quick. I may be one of the very few guys, in fact, I bet I am. I'm one of the very few guys in this entire universe who would ask Marty to organize my workshop. I am the kind of person, Kelly, who, when I see a bunch of boxes, I know what the end result, well, I can look at an end result and know if I like it. But for me to try to figure out, sort through a bunch of boxes and make organization out of a mess, I can become mentally disconnected real quick. Marty is between us, hands down, the person. And so I said, Marty, I want for you to organize my tools. And of course, I didn't know where anything was located, but she was about 98% correct. If I didn't like drawer 3 where my tools were, I'll put it in drawer 1, kind of thing. That's just a very quick story about us, Kelly.
Yeah, no, I love that. But see, that's just the point of it. It takes all kinds, and there is no gift that's too small. Because it's gonna, that small gift that you may think is there is gonna make such an impact, or make someone else's life so much easier. And that's where I think that my mind is. I want to be better today than I was yesterday, and I want to help someone else be better today, or better tomorrow than that they were today. And if that means that they have an organized junk drawer and I could help them with that, then that's what I'm going to do.
What a great attitude.
Yeah.
And
if you can organize a junk drawer, you need to come out to my house.
Probably every good, or I'm not a great organizer, but I would assume every great organizer has to have a horrible junk drawer just to keep it. Everyone's life needs a certain amount of chaos, right?
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. One thing about our podcast, Kelly, is that Marty and I have learned through life experience, everybody has a story someone needs to hear. Everybody has a story. And so, Kelly, thank you for giving us your story, a work in progress. You've been very helpful, very inspiring to those listeners who are uncertain just how to approach life, how to make a transition, what to look for. You've been very helpful in helping us to organize our thoughts. And on behalf of our listeners, thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me. I really enjoy talking with you both.
It was just great. And we want to continue our journey with you to see just how things work out for you. No matter what you pursue, we believe it's going to be very successful, however you define success.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. I'm in it to win it. I'm in it to change. I'm in it to change myself, and I'm in it to help others change in the direction they want to. So we're going places.
Well,
Right. That's good.
that's great.
And we'll kick down those road barriers as they come up. So
Wonderful. Like your attitude. Are you facing a career transition, or it could be just a change of life? You could be entering a phase of life where you have accomplished what you chose to in the past and you just want to do something new, something that will be more challenging, whatever it is. Know you have strengths. Know there are people who need your talents. Know there are people who want what you have to offer. Even though you are entering a new phase of life, a new career, and you don't have the proverbial 25 years experience or whatever number it is, do not sell yourself short. Always project a very confident attitude that you are you, and that confidence is not an arrogance, but rather it is a confidence that you're very aware of yourself. You know you have something very positive to offer people. Others want to be in the influence of those who are confident, project a very positive persona, those who want to advance others. That is what people are looking for. We need more people who can do just that. Kelly, transitioning from several decades of experience of financial work, transitioning into a life of leadership, coaching, speaking, a different life, but she is leveraging. She's taking her experience from the past and taking it into a new venue, a new venture, in working with people who need Kelly's experience going into a new venture, a new venue. There are people who seem to have less confidence having transitioned out of either forcibly, that is out of their control. Perhaps COVID has produced some job changes. There are many different reasons people are having to get out of their comfort zone and look into something very different. And sometimes that looking into something very different is uncomfortable. But I think once you have experienced the uncomfortableness and you're going into that new career field and you find that there are in fact others who need your talents, your strengths, need what you have to offer, you can gain the strength that yes, everything was worth it. You can relay your experience that yes, you went through a period of feeling very uncomfortable, if that is a period that you went through, but you can be that source of encouragement, be the source of inspiration to someone else who needs to take a new step, a new life, and take on something new that is better aligned with their strengths, which perhaps may provide more fulfillment. I want to encourage you to reach out to others who may be experiencing something similar to what Kelly is going through. Help them to make it through that period of being uncomfortable and help them to know their value, their strengths, and help them develop the very confident persona that they will be able to make the transition. Everyone can benefit from working with a coach. Marty and I are certified coaches through the John Maxwell Leadership Team. We want to help you overcome any difficulties, any challenges you may have to function at your designed potential. Contact us at ron@thecooperculture.com or marty@thecooperculture.com. Let's schedule that 30-minute complimentary coaching session through which you will be able to make a determination if either of us is the right person to help you achieve and perform at your very best. We hope we can warrant a 5-star rating with this podcast. We hope you will want to subscribe. We hope you'll share this podcast with your Facebook friends, your LinkedIn connections. We hope you'll also share with your Instagram and Twitter communities. The more we share, the more we engage, the more we interact with each other, the greater benefit we will be to each other, the greater opportunities we'll have to advance each other and help each other through any difficult periods of life and be the very best person God has created us to be, and be that person who can be a very positive inspiration to someone else. We look forward to working with you. We look forward to helping others advance to whatever it is they're going to next.